Hello, everybody. This is Carson Herlean and my father, Greg Herlean. This is your favorite podcast, Generational Gains, where we talk about money, business, life from the perspective of two different people in two different spaces of entrepreneurship. And today we have a really fun topic for you. We have a very simple topic, though. We want to talk about controlling your money and the importance of doing so, and financial education and the importance of educating yourself. I think there's a lot of people out there who say and they claim that they want to be better, but they're not here listening to this, or they're not spending their time taking action. People can listen to podcasts or do things all day long and they can learn, but learning is nothing without action. And so I think today let's talk about some things people can act on and try and instill the importance of education and control.
Yeah, I like it. It reminds me of actually a couple phone calls that I received this week. I remember a client calling me this week, one of our trust company clients, and was telling me about this deal they're in and talking about her financial situation, and she called her mentor, I call it her influencer, but this influencer who she spent a lot of money with, and the feedback, I didn't share this with you, from this I'm not going to name names, but this big influencer said, I'm going to take you through some breathing routines. I want to help you breathe over the phone, help you just breathe. And I was thinking, she needs some like tactical advice, like just some tools to go out and handle the financial situation she's in. And so when you talk about financial education and, unlocking, your money and being in control, the reason why I love this podcast is we're real people doing real things with real results and tools. And we might not have millions of followers yet. That being said, I feel like a lot of the influencers and people that have millions of followers are giving you breathing routines, breathing rituals, which, by the way, getting your mind and heart and body intact, I'm all for. But I also feel like there's a lot of fluff out in the market. There's a lot of just
people are lacking authenticity and trust.
Yeah, and if you think it, you'll get it. Just dream it and think it. We're tactical. We're doing it. Carson's doing it. People ask me all the time about my son, about what he's doing, and I'm proud of him. And he's taken the reins off of opportunities that come before him and run with it. And I know, since he's done it and doing it at the age of 20, 21, 22, and I've done it and had to redo it twice in my life, that what we talk about is real. It changes lives. And so anyways, I wanted to just preface that because I had a call this week and I was like, this lady was in like dire straits financially. Now, I'm not an advisor. She was just kind of telling me all the stuff.
Yeah. And
she's like, then I called this person and he took me through some breathing stuff. And I was like, you need an attorney. So anyways, go ahead, Carson. So this is a good topic. And so hopefully I just wanted to kind of intro with that as well. I think we're real people doing real deals using tools that work for everyday people like you and I.
And the key things with how you've built your businesses over and over and how I'm building mine is we have both of those things. We have complete control. We have education, or if we don't, we find the education. And so those two things are so important for anyone who wants to succeed in anything. Like, it is up to you. You can't depend on the government to help you do it, or your partner. Like, it's up to you. That's why you need the control and education. But I want to go through a little bit of an example today. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of someone named John Bogle. Do you know who John Bogle is? We'll get into him in a second, but he's a very interesting human being. He taught people, before I even get there, let's talk about how money works and how much earning power you have on your dollar. So if you had $1,000, and let's just say, most people start earning money at about age 20, right? Most people then work to age 65, and the average life expectancy is 85, right? So you have from 20 years old to 85 years old for your money to grow, essentially, right? What is the total earning power that $1,000 has over that 65-year span? and let's just say the market does 8%. Well, I mean, some people are gonna do better, some will do worse. I'd say let's 2.5% variance between that 8% number. There's gonna be a huge gap. Now, over that 65-year span, $1,000 growing 8% for 65 years will accumulate to $145,000. So $1,000 can turn to 145. But what's crazy is if you did 2.5% better, let's say you had a little bit better than everyone else, you made 10.5% for that 65-year span. Your $1,000, the earning power $1,000 has is 650 grand. That's a huge gap. So if you think financial education is not important, it is. That's a lot of money just to learn a little bit more, or maybe control things a little bit more. But what about 2% or 2.5% less? If you got 5.5% instead of 8, your $1,000 over that 65-year span would end up being $32,000. And here's a funny thought: fees. If you look up John Bogle, he is the founder and CEO of Vanguard. We all know Vanguard. He started it. He wrote a book, and he was interviewed about his book in 2008 before he passed away. And in his book, it's called The Soul Something of Capitalism. I forget the title. But he says, how the financial industry, I think the words he uses are scammed investors, or not scammed, he said robbed. How the financial market robbed investors. He didn't say hoodwinked or scammed or messed with. He said robbed in his book. And he's the CEO of Vanguard. Vanguard has $2 trillion of 401ks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and later in his interview, he says that it's tyranny what the financial industry, the mutual fund industry is doing. He called it those two words, robbery and tyranny. He didn't call it messing around or stealing from you, a little bit of fees. He called it robbery and tyranny, and he started it. And it's very interesting to me. And he later said in his interview, he said, this exact example of the numbers I gave. He said, if you had $1,000, and let's say you put in $500 and your employer baited you with the $500 match. They put 500, you put 500 in. And you have that $1,000 growing 8% for the life of you. You have 65 years for that to grow. That's 145 grand, he says. That's the math. But most people in the financial industry charge 2.5%. So how much of your money and the earning power your money has goes to the financial industry and his company versus how much goes to you and your pocket?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they doubled your money, right? Whatever. But what's the actual math behind it? Well, that 65-year span of the 148 grand, sure, your account may have made 8%. You probably got that $1,000 all the way to 145, 48, whatever it is, $1,000.
But it could have been.
Because of the 2.5% fees they charged, the 148 is the gross number they made, but they made 32,000 for you. So what's that difference? 110 grand. They keep $110,000 of your earning power on your life, and you get 30 grand. And who put up all the risk, all the money? You did. The financial industry did nothing. They just reaped the benefits. And so in this example, it's like, well, that is the importance of controlling your money. If all you did was do the exact same investments that Vanguard did, but you did the investments and didn't have someone managing it for you, that is a $110,000 difference back in your pocket on just $1,000. $1,000 earning power gets you an extra $110,000. Now imagine if that was $10,000 compounding or 10 grand every year, whatever the math is. That's the difference of how much you're paying other people versus you're keeping, and that's the importance of financial education. And so how can people actually control their money and educate themselves to do that? Because also, what if you made 2.5% better and you did it yourself? That $1,000 grows to 650 grand. 650 grand versus 30 grand is a huge difference because of control and education to make it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the math behind why you should control your money. And that's the math behind what's happening in the 401k system. I don't care if they give you a match. I could care less. That's the real math. So for what you teach, self-directing and unlocking your retirement accounts, that's the benefit right there. So how does self-directing even work? And now that people understand why you'd want to, how do people actually implement this?
Wow, great example and real example. And I think you, with his help, illustrated that perfectly. Look, my message is that when we help people with self-directing, what we're doing is helping individuals unlock their money, take control of it, and invest it in something where we hope that you understand it, but that you've done some
Research, due
research
diligence.
on and due diligence on, where you can make an extra 2% per year. Your story, your example, is a similar example that I share. I want to piggyback on, and I'll go back to self-directing in a second, is the story about 2 degrees or 2%. If you're off just 2 degrees in life, in anything in life, just off 2%, you're off an hour or two, you're off 2 minutes. Imagine if a pilot's off 2 coordinates. If you're off, you're financially off 2%, which I love because this is an example I give, not the way you did it, which I think is even better. Off 2%, it's the matter of you having millions of dollars or $1 million in your account, especially when you're talking about $10,000 a year, just $10,000 a year. Most of you can save $5,000 or $10,000 per year for 10, 20, 30 years. That's millions of dollars. And so, to your point, piggybacking on self-directing, why I like it so much is only 4% of Americans self-direct. Not only because most of America doesn't know they can do it, but most of America just doesn't take the time to educate themselves. So when you just talked about being financially free and getting education, I think that's a critical part. I feel like those that listen to us, a small percentage of America, obviously, and that want to do better, just talk about it. They're what I started with in the beginning. Like, who wants to be a millionaire? Who wants to, make whatever? They raise their hand. They like people. They social. They pay for whatever, but they don't do any work. They don't do any follow-up. And so what self-directing is all about is educating yourself and unlocking your money and investing in things that you know, like, and understand to make a little bit better returns. I'm never going to say you've got to make 15, 20% per year in your money, which I can't even, you can do your own math, compounding what that does. But if you can just get, if you're 8 to 10, a true 10, or you're 7 to 9, 9.5, a true 9.5, net 9.5 to your account, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars difference. And this is why self-directing is so powerful. You are enabling unlocking your money, your retirement funds, in a way to invest in alternative assets and compound your profits and interest without paying taxes. Now, I'm talking about deferring or avoiding taxes, not evading, avoiding and deferring. And so that's what we do at Horizon Trust. We help people self-direct, gain access to their retirement accounts, roll it over into a company like ours. And it also works with 401ks. If you have an old 401k with a previous employer, that's the other thing I think is crazy. The amount of money that people have. I bet most of you that are listening, you have an old 401k. You or your spouse, or maybe your parents or someone has an old 401k that you have maybe dismissed, or you just get in the mail and you think, oh, it's not big enough to do anything with. Oh, it's only got $50,000 or $100,000. I'm just going to leave it there and hope in 30 years from now it's $200,000. You're missing out. There's so much money there that you could be using in a self-directed environment.
You know what I heard the other day that was interesting? And sorry to cut you off, but I heard someone say they think the reason people love the 401k system is because they don't want to take responsibility. If their account doesn't get to what they hoped it would be, they have excuses. They could blame
it on their advisor,
the market. They don't have to take responsibility and accountability for their money because they can blame it someone else. And that's why people like the system. A lot of people. Now, most people we're talking with, it's not like that. Most people are like, hey, I understand now what you're saying. How can I control it? Awesome, we can talk about it. But most people have to start from before. Most people aren't even at that position yet where they want to control it. They still are just like, they don't want to because they don't want the responsibility. But you can see here, and we're not talking about becoming a full-on financial advisor.
No.
Just by, you could literally, like John Bogle's example, the Vanguard CEO, you just do his investments, you make 8%, instead of making 8 minus the fees, you make $100,000 more. So why not? Just copy other people and don't let other people manage it for you. Just that is better. And then, sure, if you want to get deeper into it, have more education, do other investments, even better. But it's a lot simpler than people think. And there's a lot of money to be made when you control your money.
100%. And I think that's the big thing when it comes to self-directing. Only 4% of Americans do it. Again, partly because of what you're saying. They don't want to put the time and energy into it. And I'm talking about time.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like 30 minutes or an hour a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe call it 5 to 10 hours
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, most people, and I know this is not you, we're here talking and you're wanting to educate yourself. It's those people that are not here, listening and educating themselves. But if you, right now, if you're invested in the market, most people, all they do is they look at their statement either online or when it comes in the mail every quarter, and they look at the balance, if it's gone up or down, and then they shred it or file it away or delete it. That's what 90%, 85% of America does. And so of course you're not going to have, any success outside of the norm.
Yeah.
What we're engaging in calling out and saying, hey, look, if you want better, truly want better, and want this growth, self-directing, one, is a great viable option.
Mm-hmm.
But number two, it does take a little bit of work. Surprise. And so if you're putting in 5 to 10 hours a year,
Yeah.
and you do that math, right? Just call it 10 hours for 30 years. We're talking about 300 hours. Is that what that math is?
Yeah.
300 hours over 30 years to then protect yourself to be able to be financially free and be able to get with Social Security, call it financially secure. It's absolutely worth the time. And that's what I would say our clients enjoy at Horizon Trust Company is not only can they unlock their money and we help them set up their accounts, but we provide webinars every other week. Our website has all kinds of content and videos and information on what things you can invest in and what you can't. And so you can go and and learn a ton about self-directing and about investing. And there's tons of different websites as well and podcasts, etc. So taking action, taking control, unlocking your money has been critical for me. And I know for our fellow investors, we've got over $1 billion in assets at Horizon Trust. And I'd say another thing I think that's interesting is people think that self-directing is a new thing. And this has been around since the 70s. And so this is not a new thing. The wealthy keep getting richer because they're using these tools that have been approved a long time ago, approved by their friends and peers in Congress. And so you too can act on this. It's getting bigger, but I would still say that only 5% of Americans are doing it, when really it should probably be 10%, to be honest. Most of America is not going to take the time and energy to do it. And the other part of America doesn't know, and they're never going to learn because their advisor's never going to tell them. They're not going to be researching it out. They're just going to keep doing what their parents taught them. So it's really up for you, like it was for me, to take a position and say, where do I see my life and journey going from here? Is it how my parents did it, or my great-grandparents did it, or is it a different route, a different journey that I see, I can feel, I see people living that I want to live, but you got to take action, do different things.
So for those of you who want to self-direct your retirement accounts, whether it's an old account, a current Roth, or traditional, whatever it is, sounds like you can just go to horizontrust.com and set up your account or roll it over there, or just keep educating yourself on what that even means.
Yeah, DM me, DM Carson. If you want to learn more, we would love to teach you more about what we do, and follow us. Send us a message or your email saying, hey, look, I'd like to learn more about it. We'll help you with this. This is a very fun thing. Someone asked me, I had a webinar this week, a live webinar with someone, and the first question they asked me was like, so did you always want to be in the self-directed space and talking about, IRS and taxes? And I started laughing, and he's like, do you enjoy this? And the answer is, one, I didn't know that I'd be in this space. But number two, I thoroughly enjoy this. And the reason why I love this so much is I'm able to see individuals make the gains that you're talking about, and also see individuals invest in asset classes that are very unique and different that I never even knew that could happen. I mean, you've invested in forklifts and different real estate notes and different businesses. And so it's just fun to see people taking action, having a lot of fun with their retirement account.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you guys for listening today and being a part of our journey and what we want to share with you. We usually end a podcast with something we do as a family called Sweet, Sour, and Service, where we kind of share some things throughout our week that were good, hard, and how we served other people. I feel like we usually like to end with like one of the three. So let's end with a sweet. What was a good sweet you had this week?
No, there's an easy one.
Yeah.
I would say, well, you might, I'm going to, it was
Go for it.
celebrating, we got to go and celebrate with Carson's younger brother, Cash. We went to a surf ranch, Waco in Texas, and got to go surfing all day. And it was just fun to see how happy and tired everyone was. Everyone got at least 100 waves or more in a warm wave pool surfing, and that was definitely a sweet for me to see. I was the worst one by far, and everyone would say it. I wiped out probably 80 times and caught maybe 15 waves, and this guy probably caught 100 waves. But that would be the sweet for this week for sure.
Yeah, I love it. And it was awesome. I was there as well, but I'll do a different sweet just to make it different. But I feel like a sweet for me this week has been gaining clarity on the direction I want to go with my future/new business. So that's been really exciting and fun, and we'll keep sharing that on this podcast as long as you guys are following us. So excited for you guys to keep following our journeys. But this was it for today. Hope you got some value today. See you soon.
Thanks.